Welcome to the Solo to Entrepreneur Show. My name is Lorraine Chai, the host and business strategist coach. Here we explore essential strategies to help you transform your solo business into thriving entrepreneurs. Today I have Bruno with me. So welcome, Bruno.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Very happy to
Now,
be here.
Bruno is a celebrity tailor that's based in Australia. And what caught me, I remember seeing JT on stage, and I don't think anyone else has noticed it before I did. But I noticed that the quality of his suit was really amazing before JT announced saying that you made the suit for him. So tell me, what, how did you love for Hopefully, you enjoyed today's podcast. If you'd like me to be on your podcast or want to work with me, check out my web link on www.solopreneur2entrepreneur.com/link. That is www.solopreneur2entrepreneur.com/link. Hi, my name is Lorraine Chai. Hopefully, you enjoyed today's podcast. If you'd like me to be on your podcast or want to work with me, check out my web link on www.solopreneur2entrepreneur.com/link. That is www.solopreneur2entrepreneur.com/link. Tailoring came about.
Oh, love of tailoring. Oh my God.
Because
Well,
I'm sure you make each suit with love and care, and it just shows with what you've done.
of course, of course, of course. Look, the love for tailoring came about from a very early age. I was 15 in Italy, in Florence, running the streets of Florence, and I had a very close person of mine, my grandmother, that was Esterina, and I was a little bit of an introverted kid. I was very lanky, like I was very, very tall, very skinny, and like I went and bought my first suit. So that's
At
I bought my
15.
yeah.
Okay.
With my own money. So I was working and I just went and bought my first suit. And then I literally remember it like it's today. Like I was carrying this suit like through the streets of Florence, getting to my grandmother, knock on the door, and she was so happy that I've taken that step on my own without any prompts. And put the suit on and needed some alterations, some adjusting, and she did it with her hands. So she was pinning the suit around, and I didn't know what was happening because I didn't know that was even a possibility. And yeah, like and she's like, "Don't worry about it, like it's gonna be good." And then a few days later, I went back and I put on the suit, and by that first moment, I remember it like it was yesterday. The first moment, I slipped into the suit and just I felt different. I felt more confident. I felt like there's something on the inside that changed, and it's almost like a chemical reaction. And
You
like
almost feel like important at like a different status, isn't it?
I think when I put it on, I just felt I felt what possibilities were ahead of me. So instead of like making like this is obviously like me as an adult thinking back to the time, but it's almost like instead of making life happen to me, for the first time I felt like in control. For the first time I felt like I could influence the way people would perceive me. So then at the time, 15-year-old, like all you think about is girls. And so the real influence for me at the time, it was, what kind of influence I would have in the gentle sex. And then from there, like as I was growing up, then I could notice like the difference, the moment I would enter the room, the different that I would almost like command a room of people that wouldn't really necessarily know me, and the attention that was like turned towards me, and the type of attention, the type of people that was attracting to me. So yeah, I guess like the passion really started when I was 15.
With your first suit, isn't it?
How about yourself? Like, do you notice yourself any sort of difference the moment that you present in a more professional manner when you enter the room?
So I started out with not being comfortable with all the clothes you buy from the rack, right? or it's too tight on the top, it's too loose on the bottom. There's never a right fit for women. And I know a lot of women out there, they're like, oh, just buy something expensive. It's like, no, but then our body shapes are all different. We can't just get something from the shelf. So I went down the route of approaching a tailor actually based in Sydney as well. And I'm like, okay, from a musician, because I'm from a musical background, where we always wear black. We're always in the cockpit, we're always in the shadows, playing music, and we're always unseen. So I was like, okay, I need something that would stick out, where people would remember me, not because of my presentation, but also because of my outlook, so that I am remembered by people. So I told the guy, I'm like, okay, make me something powerful. Make me something powerful that suits my body, that suits me. So he made me this jacket. Actually, this whole suit, I'm wearing half of the suit. He made me this jacket. And as you said, like the moment you put it on, it's like, oh wow, like suddenly your whole energy just changed automatically. Like you don't actually realize that until you put it on. And the concept of women should dress well. And I always recommend people to go to a tailor actually, to make things suit and sit nicely on the body. And I also recommend it to men too. So it's great that you push through and you encourage this with men as well, because a lot of men think, oh, I'll just get a regular suit from the store and that's it. But it's all about presentation and first impression, like how do you feel in your suit and how it sits nicely. People remember that.
And I guess, can I ask you, what was your journey? Like, what was the moment that you knew, you knew that you wanted to up level yourself or present yourself in a different way? For all the listeners, because it's very important, sometimes sharing your own story. So for you, when was the moment that you thought, you know what, like I should do better. I should present in a different way. Can you describe a little bit of your journey?
So the way that I look into tailoring is we want things to suit us. We want things to work for us rather than you work for something else. So instead of being conditioned, and it's like a puzzle, you don't want to force yourself into a puzzle shape to fit that space. You want to be the right shape puzzle where you stand out. So that's how I look into tailoring, where I want to be able to look powerful enough that, of course, you don't have other people wearing the same suit or the same outfit as yourself as well. Because I've had that before, where I go to an event and it's like, shit, like she's wearing the same thing as I am. Like I want to be able to stand out, I want to be different, I want to show this powerful side in me. And with my career as well, I want to make an impression. So I love that whole concept of making something that suits you, because for me, the way I look at it is you are worth it. And because you are worth it, then why not level yourself up? Because once you level yourself up, you're also leveling up your business. You're showing that quality within yourself, with your clients, with the business partners, potential business partners, and people around you.
It sounds like you were ready to grab the attention of the room. To me, as you talk into it, it sound like sometimes people, they don't mind being a wallflower. Sometimes they don't mind being like you just described before, like in the shadows. Like they don't mind because whether it could be personality, whether they're not quite ready on the inside to be part of the room and commanding the room. Sometimes people are not ready, and it sounded like you were in a moment that you wanted to be seen, you wanted to be noticed, and you were also ready to be noticed.
Sure. So, a lot of business owners are like, I don't want to be seen. I just want people to be ahead, right? But with me, it's like putting myself in an uncomfortable situation, because I used to be an extreme introvert. I used to be a stutterer. And it was like, okay, how can I make it known? How can I brand myself in a way? Like there's so many different ways of branding. How can I put myself out there where people recognize me and people remember me and they will think of me? So the whole dressing up to impress, like that's one step of how you can make yourself memorable. And the same thing with men, the way that you have this suit, does it sit well? Is the sleeves too long? Is it something that's baggy? Is it, is your pants dropping? There's all these concepts to
Yeah,
consider, right?
that's right.
The shirt, is it nice? And even though it's simple, even though it's tailored and simple, like it still stands out comparatively to something that you pick up from the shelf.
Of course. And by the way, I just wanted to let you know that the women's suits and a woman tailoring is something that we do too.
Yeah, I was gonna confirm that because Bruno also creates suits or garments for Caroline Stanbury, so the one of the housewives of Dubai, and also her husband, so Sergio, what's his surname again? Sergio Carrallo.
Corallo.
Yeah, Sergio
But
Carrallo.
there's also like a whole heap of even Australian businesswomen that are what's it called? They're working towards public speaking. So there's Shani Taylor, for example, that's one of them.
Yeah.
Anna Pegler, another one. So it's
I should
more of
make
a
you do mine too.
it's more of that kind of like that direction where we are really trying to get like you just mentioned, like that you're ready to be noticed, then you're ready to put that powerful that strength persona out for everybody to see. So that's definitely
Yeah, so I mean, like business owners, in order to stand out, in order to grow, we need to be present, right? And I've gone through with a lot of clients because I coach business owners where they're like, oh, but I don't like to be in the spotlight. But I was like that. So let's just change the way that you dress so that you feel comfortable about yourself. Because with my clients that end up changing the way that they present themselves, they're like, oh my gosh, like I've got all this attention, and these are like really great attentions with clients and my employees that's used to or you that currently work with me in the office. It's completely different environment and energy around the room just because of the way you change the way you look.
I think the things that a lot of people they miss, it's literally that energy part that you just mentioned that you don't know until when you know. It's one of those things that for me as a tailor, it is very difficult to convey and kind of suggest and mention, look, whenever you're gonna wear a custom made suit, whenever you're wearing your powerful self suit, you're gonna feel different. You're gonna have a strong energy, you're gonna have a high level of energy, and one of the funny ways that I have to describe it, it is uh, when you're tipsy, when you feel like when you drink and you're tipsy a little bit, you would do things that you wouldn't do in regular life. You would do things you go to that person and you say hi, or you do that one thing that you wouldn't do otherwise. And literally having a custom-made suit on you, it has the same exact reaction in your body. So whenever you wear something that's made for you, you feel more courageous, more strong, more, yeah, you just brave. So you would do, and like in the business world, all of those adjectives, all of that type of energy, it is what will make the difference in your business.
Mm.
Because it will make you dial one more time on the phone. It's going to make you speak to that one more person at the event. It's going to make you do the thing that you wouldn't do otherwise. So that's probably the best way to describe is that high level of energy and a higher state that makes it that you walk taller, you feel stronger, you feel more powerful. Have you experienced something like that
Oh,
yourself?
absolutely. Absolutely. Like the way that I talk to my tailor is like, okay, I need something where I don't need to bother about how I look. Like I'm not young anymore, so I don't have that skinny body and toned body as I used to have. So it's like, okay, how can
You're
I have
really safe, sister.
that's right. We need something to kind of make ourselves be confident, right? So it's like, okay, I want
Yeah.
something like I've done it so many times that I know what I want. So, in the beginning, I'm like, okay, give me a suggestion, right? So we'll talk about that. I'll ask you that question. But like for me, it was like, all right, initially when I first started, it's like, give me some suggestions and I'll say yes or no, and I will try it out. But now it's like, I know what I want. I'm like, okay, do this and let's see if you can do, like I have not a suit, but like a dress slash jacket, which was like can be converted into a dress and also can be converted into like just an overall coat.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's the way that I want things is versatile as well as it shows that level of confidence within me. And yes, you're right. Like the moment you have it on, you already have that, and you don't even have to think about it. You're like, okay, now I just focus on my speech and I just go out there. So there's one thing that you have to worry less about, wardrobe, malfunction that happens as well, which can happen. So yeah.
Sure can, it sure can.
Mm.
But the one thing that I find out the more that I speak to entrepreneurs and people out there, people that are not quite ready to make the jump. They're not quite ready to elevate themselves because they don't see the grass on the other side of the fence, right? They can't see it, so they always think in terms of when I do this, then I'll do that. When I achieve this,
When I reach
then
something, then I'll do it.
so, and you and I, we actually both know, like we both know the same thing, that there's no story in the world where, where uh, I was thinking of being successful, the money came, and then I became successful. Like
Yeah,
it is more about an actual journey where you have to change the way that you think, the energy that you have, and the way that you present yourself is part of the same package.
absolutely.
So
So
a
now
lot
let's
of
look at it
people,
this way. Now, let's say someone that has never had something customized, right?
yeah,
And they're afraid because they don't know what they want. So they come to you. What is your process in helping someone like that?
I think I think one of the first thing for me, it is to make them feel at ease. So my process is very Italian, like I'm Italian, so it is a lot of it's a lot of a little limoncello just to calm the nerves at the
Oh,
beginning
you
of
do?
the to have a little something just to relax. Like we both enjoy the time together. I have like some Italian cannoli.
I'm in the
Things
wrong
like
city
that.
here.
So it's a little bit more of a really, it's like you're meeting a friend. So like I really try not to make it formal at all. So like we'll sit down, we'll enjoy each other, we'll talk to each other as human beings first. So I need to try to get a little bit of an understanding of what kind of person I'm talking to,
Mm,
and I need to understand what are their needs. So one of the things that I put a lot of emphasis in is like one of the things I always say, I cannot advise you on anything until when I get to know you a little bit.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
if somebody comes to me like and in 5 minutes wants me to redo the wardrobe, I unless I have free reign and I do whatever I want, and I'm gonna convert him in the person that I think it should be. I always spend some time to understand what's the why behind it. So what
Mm,
is the why driving them? So we always spend some time on that, and then it becomes technical. The technical part of it is my 10 years plus of expertise, where I give them a color analysis. So we'll talk about under skin tone and complexion, which will influence what kind of colors will work best on them. Then we'll talk about body analysis, which means we'll get into what kind of fit works best with the body type of that specific person. And then we'll talk about the style, like what kind of style garments, which will be, it's not necessarily suits, it's like jacket, trousers, combinations, or what kind of style garments will work well with the lifestyle of this person. So
mm,
the three things, this is my secret sauce. The three things you always yield the best result. It gets to a plane. So on average, we're always talking about a capsule wardrobe, which is a wardrobe of items that you can combine with each
mix
other,
and
and
match. Yeah.
yeah, 40 plus outfits. But basically, we'll come up with a strategy, and then after that strategy is really understanding what is the garment that will make the highest impact on whatever goal they're trying to achieve. So if in that specific case it is a power suit, then we'll focus on that first garment, that it's a power suit, shirt and make him ready, make him or her ready for the war. If it's a
War.
matter of, it's
For
true. I
war.
mean,
Yeah, it is. All right.
isn't it like,
This may sound absolutely overwhelming for first timers, but being being a tailor, I know Bruno is going to guide you nicely and accordingly. So, have one of his limoncello and then it will all run smoothly. But yeah, for first timer, it does
usually
sound
all the
overwhelming. But the moment you go through that process, it's going to be really fun. Like you get to understand the process. It's like, oh man, like this is actually more than just all right, measurement and then let's make something, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. So literally all it is, all that anybody needs to know about what I do, it is literally come and be best friend with an Italian tailor. Literally. That's all there is to know. The technical part is literally just to sometimes people don't do it because they don't know what happens. So the technical part is all of that part, but honest to God is like sitting with me and be my best friend. And then Italian tailors and Italians in general, they have like this thing where there's no filter. So you also need to be kind of ready to have my honest opinion and say, no, that green, it is absolutely horrible on you. Or and then there's always like there's a feedback and then there's suggestions. Like instead of that green, how about we do this?
So there's always a
And then,
recommendation and a solution.
of course, of course. So that is the fun banter. It is about literally having some fun, like make it casual. In my experience, whenever it gets too serious, that's when things are overcomplicated, and it is no rocket science. It is no rocket science at all. So that's why I make it as fun as possible. How was your first appointment with your tailor? Like, what do you remember out of that first appointment?
All right. So initially, I was already quite reserved as a musician.
Yep.
I was opening up. So I was like, oh man, like, do I really need bright colors? Because, I'm so used to the dark colors being a musician. And it's like, no, but I want to change my career life because, I'm creating an impact. I'm actually doing speaking a lot more. So I was nervous because I didn't know what I want. So I didn't know what I want. And the thing is, the tailor that I have, Carl, love you. Carl, if he's out there. So Carl is quite an introverted tailor, unlike you. So there was no limoncello, there was no stuff. But he understood, like as tailors, they understand a client's side, and they all have different characteristics, whether or not, you're from Italy, my tailor is from South Africa. So they have their own characteristics in that sense. And how I got to him was the quality of material that he uses. That's why I go back to him, is because that quality of material. And I'm the kind of person that likes to try different tailors. I've gone through tailors where the material is just so bad that I will not wear that out at all through the door. So, when I went in as a nervous person, knowing what I want, being nervous about red, considering I was wearing black all the time, he made me feel comfortable. And it's more about understanding. And like you said, it's like, oh, I don't think that works for you. I think this one works for you instead. Like there's all these suggestions, minor suggestions. And I was like, okay, let's try it out. Right. And if I don't like it, then I have the right to say no, isn't it?
Of course, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that is like I said, like the things that stop most people, there's two things. One is not knowing what getting a tailor-made suit means. That's number one. And then number two, there's a big stigma out there, is the price, right? Everybody thinks tailor must be expensive, tailor must be crazy, out of this world. But there's a lot of tailors out there, like especially in the past, I want to call it in the past 3 years, there's a lot of independent tailors that are popping out. Like we're going back to like a business model where you're supporting the local businesses, and there's local tailors all around us. And the reality is that those tailors, they will have the best fabrics, they will have a lot of attention and love to what they do for you, because obviously that is in most cases them like trying to make a living and do the best that they can. And really you're going on prices that will be very, very, very comparable to what you will pay at the big shops, or even better, what you will pay with a big brand, which will deliver on the name. So you will have you'll be able to open up the jacket and say that's the name, and maybe it won't fit perfect, or it won't make you feel the best version of yourself, versus when you go with a local tailor or with an independent tailor. That's when you get that extra love and extra attention.
Yes. And the
Sure.
detail with it makes you feel special. Like all that little detail that you guys put in a suit or a costume is like, it makes you feel like, wow, like no one else, like no machine or factory outlet would do that for an individual person. But how I like to compare it is like, for women, you buy a handbag, right? And you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy this cheap handbag, it's only $30. Now, in the long run, that handbag's gonna start peeling and falling apart. Now, imagining having that handbag going for an interview with your handbag peeling comparatively to a good branded, proper bag that would give you an impression. Like, how would someone look at you with a bag that's falling apart, like a garment that is, the buttons coming off, or maybe there's, the colors is changing and the quality, like it shows really difference between the quality ones and the ones that are the cheaper ones.
Yeah. And I think the thing that a lot of people, that's another very good point, especially for all of the entrepreneurs out there that are listening to this, and they do want to impress the top 1%, whether you like it or not, whether you appreciate the fact that that you don't believe in first impression, you don't believe on people judging, you don't believe in all of that, whether you like it or not, the top 1% notices whether you like it or not. So then the amount of times that I speak to somebody, because obviously thanks to thanks to the fact that on my work, I get to rub shoulders with millionaires and business
with all the right people,
massive, very successful people, and there's a common denominator that all of these people always tell me, and it is that they believe into that presentation. They believe into the fact that you do only have one shot, 5 seconds, and people will understand if they want to do business with you or not. They believe it, they know it. And if they do it, and they multi-million dollar successful people, why shouldn't you? And why would you think that they won't judge you otherwise? So a big problem that I see out there is that mindset. It's like, oh, this is for work. I can just like get something.
oh, it's only for celebrities.
That's right. Or the opposite, like you just said, oh, this is like only for celebrity wealthy people. The reality is that whenever you're mixing with the right circles, you do want to present in a way that is a minimum standard for that circle. So in a way, especially the young people out there, they will start from, let's say, a junior chamber of commerce in their own cities, and everybody is that same level. But the moment they wanna mix with the chamber of commerce, so from junior to chamber of commerce, where in the chamber of commerce there's a lot of CEO, directors, executives, and all of that, they know intrinsically they need to be able to match the room at a very minimum standard. And it's something that it's a painful rule. It's a painful rule, and I understand that. But at the same time, you have to give yourself a chance.
Absolutely. And it's creating that first impression, like within a couple of seconds. If you can't do that with the way that you look without even opening your mouth, then you might lose that opportunity.
I definitely, this is a conversation that I literally had in the past week. And that was with Mark Boris. I spoke about it with him. I spoke about it with Joseph Klenner III. I spoke about it with JT Fox. Like, these people, whenever they enter the room, they command the room. They're very successful. The time is very valuable, and they will cherry pick the people they want to spend time with. And
Absolutely.
sometimes, if you don't know them, if you don't have a relationship with somebody, the way you present is your first weapon, is the first way for you to get noticed and get cherry picked out of the crowd.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Bruno, thanks for coming up. It's been absolute fun getting to know all this side from a tailor's point. Now, if anyone is interested, I will put on the description in terms of how you can reach out to him. But I'll say get started. Get started. Don't be fearful and don't be doubtful. Like you never know. Like things may change, and you never know. You may have, you may start having more tailor-made stuff.
But before we go, I desperately need you to say the name of my brand in your best Italian accent. House of Falcone. You have to tell it to me, because that literally I was waiting the whole interview for you.
So tell me, how should I pronounce it?
Well, first of all, you need the hand gesture, right? Like you need to get yourself in your inner Italian.
Okay. Tell me how.
First the hand gesture, and then House of Falcone.
Okay. House of Falcone. Is that good enough?
No. Absolutely. That is absolutely perfect.
Okay, check out Bruno from the House of Falcone. And he will serve you really well. Like just look at the amazing suits that he has in the background.
I know. The double breast. Oh, I'm actually wearing double breasted too. But no, thank you guys. Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. It is always very interesting for me to have your point of view, your feedback, and understanding how dressing well has affected your own journey. And I think you've been absolutely generous. I think I pushed you a little bit, but you did share with your public what has worked for you. And I think that is most likely going to help a lot of men and women out there.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Bruno. And thanks, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed today's podcast. If you'd like me to be on your podcast or want to work with me, check out my web link on www.solopreneur2entrepreneur.com/link. That is www.solopreneur2entrepreneur.com/link.